My name is Shane Lutz, and today we will be investigating gay history through performance in my original play, As Much for Your Sake. As Much for Your Sake is a play devised from letters sent between gay men and queer people during the 20th century as they document their experiences in life, loss, and love. The project developed out of Rictor Norton's collection, My Dear Boy, which anthologizes hundreds of love letters written by real-life gay people across history, from Marcus Aurelius to Tchaikovsky. These letters make up the entire text of the play, and this type of work in which a performance is built out of found material is known as verbatim theatre, and it emphasizes selection and organization as an act of creative expression. The play is comprised of letters from 11 different gay and queer people across the 20th century. Working with this period allowed me to leave much of the text in its original, unchanged form, as the language of this period remains accessible to modern audiences. All of the letters are woven together to create a single narrative that follows the lives of two individuals and a third narrator figure. The letters form the dialogue between the characters as a myriad of authors become their voices. As Much for Your Sake offers visibility to a community whose rich and colorful past still remains eclipsed and buried today. This amalgamation of queer history acts as a testimony that LGBTQ+ people have always existed, finding exquisite bravery to risk everything in the pursuit of an illegal love. An intimate look at these letters in performance, which we will see in here in just a moment, allows us to consider how oppression and resistance within the gay community has changed. And yet, in many ways, the issues faced by the characters in the play remain as pertinent today as they did in a time when being queer was unlawful, dangerous, and often deadly. As Much for Your Sake asks us to consider what we are fighting for today that generations yet to come will read. This verbatim performance celebrates the past, emphasizing its value and importance in knowing who we are today as a community and as a society. However, at its core, the three characters in the play, stand-ins for real people, in real places, having real experiences, remind us that life is a fleeting thing, we have no guarantee of tomorrow, and love will always be worth fighting for. And now we're going to take just a quick look at a short excerpt from As Much for Your Sake. And as I continue to develop this piece in production, I want to take a broader queer lens. And so, reading for us today will be Antonio Armagno, reading for the role of Red, James Early, reading for the role of Yellow, and Kendall Seibel, reading for the role of Blue. Please enjoy.
The autumn. We hugged and kissed and strained, Denham and I. He was lustful, immoral, affectionate, and delightful. But I was never the slightest degree in love with him. In the early autumn, then, I was glad to get him to come and stay with me. I wanted to have some fun and still more to see what it was like and to do away with the shame, as I thought of it, of being a virgin. At length, I thought I shall know of something that James and Harry Norton and Maynard Keynes and Lytton Strachey know and hold over me. Next evening, we talked long in front of the fire. My head was on his knees. After a bit, we got undressed there as it was warm. Flesh is exciting in the firelight. You must remember that openly we were nothing to each other. He got into bed and I sat on it and talked. Of course, I planned the general scheme beforehand. I was cold, he wasn't. Of course not, you're in bed. Well then get right in too, I made him ask. In the large bed it was cold. We clung together. Intentions became plain, but still nothing was said. We kissed very little as far as I can remember, and I only rarely handled his penis. Mine he touched once with his fingers, and that made me shiver, so I think he was frightened. At length we rolled to and fro over each other in excitement. Half under him and half over I came off. I think he came off at the same time, but that I have never been sure. A silent moment, and then he slipped away to his room, carrying his pajamas. I sat on the lower part of the bed in a blanket around me and stared at the wall and thought. I thought of innumerable things that this was all. That the boasted jump from virginity to knowledge seemed a very tiny affair after all. My thoughts went backward and forward. I unexcitedly reviewed my whole life and indeed the whole universe. At 8, Denham had to bicycle into breakfast with Mr. Bennings, his tutor, before catching his train. We said scarcely anything to each other, but that night I looked with some awe at the room. 50 yards away to the west from the bed I'm writing, and I felt a curious private tie with Denham himself. So you'll understand it was not with a shock, but with a sort of dreary wonder and dizzy discomfort that I heard Mr. Bennings inform me after we greeted that Denham had died at 1 o'clock on Thursday morning, just 24 hours ago now.
My darling.
My dear.
I wish you could have seen me off, but it was impossible to. I hope you got my telegram all right.
If you do not want to write...
And my last letter.
At least spit on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and send it to me, for you are not taking notice of me at all.
We are passing a lot of islands you and I did in the crosswords.
I am going to Moscow tonight, and from there straight to Petersburg.
On the night I sent the telegram, I was off the next morning, and off like a shot, as they say.
You know that I destroyed the symphony I composed and partly orchestrated in the autumn. And a good thing, too. There was nothing of interest in it, an empty play of sounds without inspiration.
And I was thinking of you, my dear, in your office and at home and all the rest, my darling.
Now, on my journey, the idea of a new symphony came to me. This symphony is completely saturated with myself, and quite often during my journey I cried profusely.
The wristwatch is gone again, my dear. It just starts when it likes every hour.
I love it.
I dropped it.
You cannot imagine my feelings of bliss now that I am convinced that the time is not gone forever, and that I can still work.
All the lads are guessing where we are going. I only know I am going away from the man I love.
Of course, I may be wrong.
The one and only you.
But I do not think so.
I know I will come back, darling, to you, and it will only be a dream.
I hope to hear from you soon.
Darling.
In my last letter, I complained that you don't want to know me, and now all links with you appear completely broken.
I have not had a letter from you yet, and the lads that came out here with me have had a lot.
What makes me sad is that you take so little interest in me. Could it be that you are positively a hard egoist? However, forgive me, I won't pester you again.
I hope everything is all right at home. Look after yourself, darling. Think of me.
The symphony which I was going to dedicate to you, not so sure that I shall now, is getting on. I am very pleased with the music, but not entirely satisfied with the instrumentation.
It is 6 days before Christmas.
It does not come out as I hoped it would.
Just think of me in the desert with the lads on guard.
It will be quite conventional, and no surprise that this symphony is abused and unappreciated. That has happened before. But I definitely find it my very best and the most sincere of my compositions. I love it as I have never loved any of my musical children.
You are always in my thoughts, and I know you will think better of me when this war is over.
At the end of August, I shall have to go abroad for a week. If I were sure where you would be...
I know you will miss me.
But I know nothing about you.
You don't know how much I miss you.
I embrace you with all my love.
All my love. And a Merry Christmas to all.
I can report that I finished the sketches for the ballet yesterday evening. You remember how I boasted that I had only about 5 days' work left? How wrong I was, for I barely managed it in 2 weeks. No! The old man is deteriorating. Not only is his hair thinning and as white as snow, not only are his teeth falling out and refusing to chew, not only is his sight deteriorating and his eyes getting tired, not only are his legs beginning to drag, but the only faculty he has is beginning to fade and disappear. I get very tired if I read in the evenings. It is always the result of a frightful headache. But unless I read, I don't know how else to kill time at night. This, I mean headaches, as a result of reading, is becoming a serious obstacle to life in the country.
Greetings, my darling. All letters are arriving, and what lovely letters. All my love.
I would love to know what you are doing.
And best wishes for Christmas, darling.
Please write at least a few words.
With your letters, dear, you are always speaking to me.
Things have gone so far that it is quite impossible to write letters.
And I read them over and over again, my dear.
Not a free moment, and I scarcely managed to write my diary.
So you say you went...
I made a trip to Niagara.
I can see you now,
I have
walking
been
around.
frightfully busy, and I am completely numb with exhaustion.
I go back all over the days we had.
As soon as I returned, I was invited to be at a big dinner.
At Richmond.
And then leave at midnight for Baltimore.
And Esher.
Tomorrow rehearsal and concert
And
there.
drunken Bedford.
The day after that, Washington.
And Leamington.
And Philadelphia.
Along the river.
Then 2 days here, where all my time is already booked.
Do you remember the old days when we first started dating?
And at last, on the morning, the 21st,
I went back all over it again last night.
I leave.
What a time we had in them days.
I have a great desire to see you.
This place is terrible.
Also,
It is not safe to go out at night at all. Some of the lads that do,
the longer I live, the more frightened I get.
do not come back at all.
But I don't know what that means.
That's what it is like.
To be honest,
You say what an experience all this is for me, darling, and
no clue at all.
I hope I never have it again.
I embrace you.
All my love, darling.
I feel an awful fool.
I hope this finds you in the best of health and the garden looking at its best.
Here I have another 2 weeks without anything to help me kill time.
I am coming home.
I thought this would be easier in Paris than anywhere else, but except for the first day, I have been bored.
I am at camp waiting for the boat, and this is 20 September.
Since yesterday, I do not know what to think up to be free of the worry and boredom that come from idleness.
I hope you received my telegram okay.
I often think of you and see you in my dreams, usually looking sad and depressed. This has added a feeling of compassion to my love for you and makes me love you even more. Oh, God! How I want to see you this very minute.
I think I will be seeing you
Write me a letter.
about the end of October, my darling, but I can't say for sure.
It will still reach me as I am staying here for nearly 2 weeks.
I am so excited about it all. I cannot really believe it all. All my love to the one and only, you old darling mine. I can't wait to see you again.
I embrace you with mad tenderness.
Thank you so much for watching.